I hope you managed to catch Wednesday's thought for the day when Derek was talking about balancing stones. It was a wonderfully therapeutic few minutes as he showed us this art of managing to balance stones on top of each other in interesting ways. I was so captivated. I was nervous to touch my desk. I thought if I touch my desk, those stones are going to fall. And of course, touching my computer wasn't going to affect what he'd recorded the day before. But it was utterly captivating, a wonderfully therapeutic few minutes. I love the idea of something that is gentle and relaxing and calm. And it made me think of something which in some ways is almost the opposite of balancing stones. And that's a game of, the computer game, it came out many years ago, a computer game of Tetris. I don't know if you remember it. I managed to find a screenshot to bring up on my screen, so hopefully you can see this. How it works, if those of you who don't know it, it's called Tetris, Tetris after number 4, because each of these pieces that falls down, you can see the green one falling down there, is made up of 4 squares. So I think there's 7 different designs. There's 4 squares in a row, that's the line, four squares in a square together. There's a T-shaped one, that's 3 of them. And then there's 2 of these that you can see on the screen there, sort of S-shaped ones, and the two different orientations of that. And then 2 different orientations of L shape as well. And how the game works is that these pieces fall down, not too fast at first, and your job is to make them fit into the ones below. The different keys, one key turns them round, I think one key moves them to the left, one key moves them to the right, and one key makes them drop straight away, which probably gets you some extra points or a little bit of extra time. I don't remember exactly how it worked. But anyway, if you can get a whole row, I think it's a grid 10 wide. If you can get a whole row occupied with squares, fit them in so that the whole row is occupied, that row vanishes and gives you a bit more space. And if you can keep playing for a bit longer, if you play for a certain length of time, you go up a level, and what happens when you go up a level is that it speeds up. And I often used to think that the game of Tetris was quite a good metaphor for life. You just sit there and stuff happens, stuff drops into your life, and you've got to deal with it. You've got to make it fit in somehow. You've got to find somewhere to put it. You've got to find something to do with it. And at the time I was working for a big company, in fact the same company I worked for pretty much my whole adult life before I went into the ministry. Big, fairly aggressive, not particularly aggressive, but big manufacturing American company. I'd spent some time on assignment over there at head office. I still was going over there quite regularly. And it struck me that life in a big company was particularly like Tetris, because they throw lots of things at you, and if you cope with all the things they throw at you, well, they give you a promotion. And what happens if you get promoted is that things get thrown at you a bit faster. And it keeps going like that until eventually you get to the stage where you're promoted to a level where you can't cope. Now in Tetris, there's the original Tetris game that I played, there were 10 levels. And as you got the skill level up, you get through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got to level 8. Yeah, I could just about manage level 8. And then one day I got to level 9. Oh, this is impossible. But because I was a bit addicted to it, I have to admit, I carried on playing. I managed just about to be able to, on a good day, I could master level 9. And once or twice, I mastered level 9 for long enough to get to level 10. And level 10 was completely impossible. It was just a whole stage up. If you got to level 10, very rapidly the pieces would come down so fast, they'd build up. When they filled up to the top of the screen, you lost, and that was it. That was the end of the game. And I was thinking that life in a big company was very much like that. You got through the stages you could cope with, and you got to a stage, a bit like level 10, where you couldn't cope. And at that point, you moved from working effectively to pretending. And I felt there were so many senior managers in the company I worked for that were actually pretending they were coping. they got kind of ways of throwing the pieces off to other people, but they weren't working right. They were pretending, and I was just so glad that I never got to that stage. I made it clear I wasn't ambitious for promotion. I spent many years without promotion, but enjoying being able to do the job I could do. So that's a bit of my story. Coming back to Tetris, and I would love to, and I do think it's an interesting metaphor for a picture of what life is. Life drops stuff at us. And I would love to have a spiritual answer to the problem of life being like Tetris. And I'm not sure there is an easy one. And there's some possible hints. The Tetris grid is only 10 wide. You've only got this limited space to put things. I think maybe with God in the picture, you can just move things over to the side and leave them with Him. We don't need to take everything on ourselves into our little box and make our box perfect. There's things we can't take on. We can push them sideways. Maybe life walking with Jesus has those spaces to the side. Maybe it has some insights into what's coming, so that we don't have to be surprised. And there was one version of the game which showed you which piece was coming next. I found that a bit distracting and didn't really use that. So maybe that's a perspective. Maybe there's a spiritual perspective where you just look at it from a different angle altogether. But life continues to throw things at us, doesn't it? And I was thinking back to Derek Stones, and I thought maybe the clue is in this business of just taking it faster and faster. And that we buy into the lie the world tells us, that the more you can cope with, the better you are. The faster you can cope with, the more of a strong, effective person you are. The big company lie that you must get the next promotion. And maybe what we need to do is to learn to play Tetris, the game of Tetris that is life, at the speed we can, and not just seek more and more things to cope with. Take life playing Tetris at level 1 is really quite therapeutic. It's maybe not as exciting as the adrenaline of coping with them dropping at level 9, but maybe we need to do that, and actually to take some time to play what I think Balancing Stones is, which is Tetris at level 0, where we choose which stone we pick up. We take as much time as it takes to enjoy how pretty beautiful that stone is. Some of the stones Derek had on Wednesday were really beautiful. Take time to enjoy it. Take time to balance it. Don't rush into it. There's no pressure of time in balancing stones. You don't balance stones. There's no balancing stones race. It's something you can do, and you take your time. And maybe some of them won't balance, and you put them down, and you take up another one. And that's what real rest is like, isn't it? It's not doing nothing. It's having the time to enjoy what's here in the present. So today, as life throws things at you, why not take some time to do it at the balancing stone space? Let's play Tetris at level 0. And let's not buy into the lie that we just got to master it faster and faster. God bless you today, and I hope you'll be able to join us on Sunday. We've got a very special service coming up. Otherwise, I'll see you on Thought for the Day next week. God bless.